I reversed everything I struggled with for over a decade: the bloating, the puffiness, the acne, the exhaustion, and period cramps. And all of that in just 30 days by fixing the one thing that was causing it all, my gut. I'm a certified nutritionist and holistic health coach, and I genuinely thought I was eating well more or less my entire life. Whole foods, home-cooked meals, vegetables, good protein, mainly organic, and yet I still ended up with a compromised gut, chronic inflammation, and a list of symptoms that I'd been told were just normal, stress-related, hormonal, part of being a woman, yada yada yada. But let me tell you, it is not normal. It was my gut barrier being damaged from chronic stress, eating out a lot, drinking socially, and taking antibiotics for my chronic UTIs. And as a result, putting my body into a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. So I put this video together for the exact protocol that I followed to heal my gut and my gut barrier within 30 days. Every single thing I've removed, every single thing I added, the supplements, the daily routine, the one thing that nobody talks about that makes all the difference, and how to reintroduce the foods afterwards so you can find out the exact triggers that your body can handle and can't handle. This is a video I wish someone had made for me 10 years ago, so let's get into it. Before I tell you what to do, you need to understand why you need to do it. Otherwise, you're probably not going to stick with it. Your gut lining is a barrier. One single layer of cells held together by what are called tight junctions. And its job is to let nutrients through while keeping everything else out. So bacteria, undigested food particles, they stay in the inside while those tight junctions are big enough for the nutrients to pass through. When those tight junctions get damaged though and start opening up, things start to leak through into your bloodstream that were never supposed to be there in the first place. On this side then, your immune system sees them, goes on high alert, and triggers inflammation. And that inflammation doesn't stay in your gut. It goes everywhere in your body and causes acne on your skin, heavy period cramps, PMS, puffiness, and so on. That's why a damaged gut doesn't just cause digestive problems. It causes ultimately all problems. Weight gain and puffiness. Because inflammation raises cortisol, and cortisol tells your body to store fat. Your body also holds onto water when it's inflamed, leading to water retention, also known as puffiness, in your face, in your body, anywhere. That's not fat, that's inflammation. Skin issues, acne, eczema, dullness. I had acne over a decade even as an adult, and nothing topical fixed it because the problem was never my skin, it was my gut. Then hormonal imbalance. Your gut is responsible to clearing excess estrogen. But when the microbiome is disrupted, estrogen can recirculate, and that's the PMS, the hormonal weight gain, the mood swings, the period cramps, and so on. Exhaustion and brain fog. 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. But when your gut is inflamed, the serotonin production just drops. So that afternoon crash that you think is normal. Weak immune system. Again, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. But when it's busy fighting everything that's leaking through, it can't fight actual infections. That's why I, for example, kept getting chronic UTIs. Sugar cravings. Bad bacteria and candida literally send signals to your brain demanding some more sugar. So your cravings aren't a willpower problem, they're a microbiome problem. All of this is to say, not to scare you, but to tell you that almost every problem links back to the gut. So how does your gut get like this? It's not one single thing. It's the accumulation of years of modern life stacking on top of each other. Antibiotics and medications wiping out the good bacteria, chronic stress diverting blood flow away from digestion. This was one of the biggest ones for me personally. Processed food, sugar, and seed oils damaging your mucosal lining. Alcohol, which is directly toxic to gut cells. NSAIDs like ibuprofen, which increase permeability every single time you take them. The birth control pill, which alters your microbiome composition with long-term use. And you don't need all of these, right? Even 2 or 3 over a longer period of time is enough to compromise your gut barrier. And once that barrier is open, even healthy foods on paper become fuel on the fire because they still leak through into your bloodstream where they're not supposed to be. This is exactly what I covered in my 10 healthy foods that are destroying your gut and keeping you inflamed, which I'm going to link up here. So now that we know the why, let's get into what we can do about it. Week number 1 is all about removing. The first week is about removing everything that is actively damaging your gut, but also giving it a relief in a more mechanical sense, as everything that's kind of harder to digest also gets taken out. One thing I want to be clear about, this is not about calorie restriction one bit. You're going to eat plenty and you're going to eat as much, if not more, than before. I never once felt hungry, you just eat differently and only temporarily. So here's exactly what I cut out. All dairy except for ghee. Ghee is clarified butter with the milk solids removed, so it's actually gut healing because it's rich in butyrate, which fuels your colon lining cells. But everything else, milk, yogurt, cheese, whey, out. Then gluten and all gluten containing grains, so wheat, rye, barley, spelt, kamut, einkorn, yes, even sourdough, even homemade, because gluten triggers a zonulin release, which literally opens the tight junctions in your gut lining. So if you're trying to close and repair those junctions, any amount of gluten is working against you. Then legumes, so beans, lentils, chickpeas, peanuts, they're all high in lectins and phytic acid, which irritate a damaged gut and block mineral absorption. Then nuts and nut butters, especially peanuts, which aren't even nuts because they're legumes, they are loaded with aflatoxins, which is a mold-derived toxin that damages the liver and drives inflammation. But even actual nuts need to be cut out because they're harder to digest. Then high lectin vegetables, so tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplant, white potatoes, and large amounts of raw spinach. Again, temporarily because the lectin and oxalate content irritates an already damaged lining. Then we have sugar and artificial sweeteners. Sugar feeds the bad bacteria you're trying to starve. Artificial sweeteners disrupt your microbiome just as much. So diet drinks, sugar-free gum, all out. Then seed oils, so canola, sunflower, soybean, corn, vegetable oil, highly inflammatory and hiding in almost everything. So I personally only had home-cooked meals and I cooked with ghee, olive oil on low heat and coconut oil only. Processed soy, so like soy milk and soy protein isolate because they contain phytoestrogens, which your imbalanced gut can't metabolize, and they also mimic your body's natural estrogen, putting you into an estrogen dominance. Then alcohol, cut it out completely, it's directly toxic to gut lining cells. Caffeine, I personally don't drink coffee in general, but even green tea, I switched to herbal tea for the first couple of weeks. Then red meat, even grass-fed. This surprised me, but red meat is one of the hardest proteins for a compromised gut to break down, especially when stomach acid is low from chronic stress. So I switched to fish and chicken and brought it back after healing. Then eating out, like I said, for 2 weeks, I cooked everything at home. Even healthy restaurant food is most often cooked in seed oils with hidden sugar and soy that you can't control, so none of that. And then plant milks, most of them contain emulsifiers, seed oils, and additives that damage the gut mucosal barrier. Oat milk also contains avenin, which triggers a gluten-like response. So the only one I drank, because I couldn't have dairy either, was the cleanest unsweetened coconut milk or almond milk I could find with 2 ingredients maximum. So I know you're thinking, well, what is even left after this list? First of all, I want you to remember that this is just 1 week of your hopefully very long life. But there's also still plenty enough that you can eat. Here's what a typical day of eating looked like for me. So I'm hoping that you can see the pattern here. Everything warm, cooked, soft, simple, no raw salads, no cold smoothies. You're feeding your gut like someone recovering from surgery or your dog when it has diarrhea. That's pretty much how I felt. But jokes aside, here's a list of things allowed in week 1, so get ready to screenshot. So this was the remove part of week 1. Now let's talk about restoring. So removing obviously stops the damage, but you also need to actively rebuild your gut lining. So here's what I added for that. Bone broth daily, 1 or 2 cups. This is rich in glutamine, collagen, glycine, and proline. These are literal building blocks your gut lining needs to repair. Then L-glutamine, 5 grams in water on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning. This is the most well-researched supplement for your gut barrier repair, and it's the primary fuel source for your intestinal cells. Then turmeric with a little black pepper and cinnamon were my go-to spices because you can't really have any others. They're both anti-inflammatory. Cinnamon also supports blood sugar balance, and black pepper increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. So without it, the turmeric passes straight through you. Then I took some omega-3 fish oil to bring down systemic inflammation and correct the omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance. I also drank this liver cleanse herbal tea, probably 1 liter a day. And then I made sure I drank enough water, so 2 to 3 liters of filtered water daily. Your body needs water to produce the mucus that protects your gut lining, so dehydration would just slow the healing. And lastly, my absolute holy grail, rhodiola extract. This can help protect cells from damage, but for me, it honestly was the biggest power weapon against fatigue and stress. Like, no joke, the energy and mental clarity I got from it, insane. But with those kinds of supplements, it's important that you don't want to take them long term every single day and have some, like, I don't know, maybe 5 days off, 2 days on, 5 days off, because otherwise your body might get used to it and you just don't want to rely on things like that for your energy. And then in week 2, I reintroduced a high quality probiotic, not just a generic 1 billion CFU capsule from the supermarket, but I chose strains specifically shown to support gut barrier function, like these 2 on the screen now. Moving on to week 2 to 5, which is the reintroduction and identify part. Week 1 is universal. Everyone benefits from giving their gut a break and flooding it with some healing support. Week 2 is where it becomes a little bit more personal. Because here's the truth, my triggers won't be your triggers. The foods that inflame me might be perfectly fine for you and vice versa. So this first elimination phase, week 1, tells you what it feels like when your gut isn't constantly irritated. The reintroduction phase tells you which specific foods are your problem. And this is the part most people probably skip. They do the elimination diet, they feel amazing, and then go straight back to eating everything at once. And then when the symptoms return, they don't know which food caused it. So they either give up and say, well, this diet didn't work, or they stay on this restricted diet forever because they're basically afraid to eat anything. Neither of those is the goal. The goal is to find your personal eating that works for your body. Build around your body's response, not this generic diet plan. Not what worked for someone on the internet, but what works for you. For this part, it's honestly best to work with a health coach or nutritionist so you can work out a personalized plan for your specific needs. But essentially, here's how you do it. You reintroduce one food at a time. Not many or a meal with multiple reintroduced foods at once, just one single food. And then the rest of your meals that day stay exactly the same as your week 1 protocol. Clean, gut-friendly, no other new foods. Then you wait 24 to 72 hours depending on the food and watch your symptoms closely. Some reactions are immediate, like bloating within an hour or 2, but many reactions are delayed, which most people don't even know. Like skin breaking out a couple days afterwards, energy crashing the next morning, mood dipping, sleep disruptions, the joints aching. These delayed reactions are the sneaky ones. Because most people miss them because they've already eaten 2 or 3 other foods since then and don't even know what to link the symptoms to. This is probably the most annoying but also transformative part of all of this. Because you really have to track everything. I just did it on my phone, but I took pictures every day of what I ate and then wrote down exactly how I felt from the digestion, my energy, my skin, my mood, my stools, my sleep, my bloating, the discomfort, headaches, brain fogs, whatever came up. And if after 72 hours you had no reactions, your skin stayed the same, there was no bloating, you slept fine, no mood shifts, all that kind of stuff, the food is likely fine for you. So you can go back into your diet and then you introduce the next new food. If you do react, even mildly, that food should stay out for another 4 to 6 weeks while your gut continues to heal before you reintroduce it again and try it again. Again, might be annoying, but the beauty of it is actually that many foods that trigger reaction in the early days can become tolerable again once your gut had more time to repair. Because your gut lining during this entire gut cleanse, the entire time, constantly repairs, regenerates, your microbiome rebalances, and foods that were once problematic become manageable in moderate amounts. Here's the order that I reintroduced foods in, but again, leaving space in between each one of them to see how I react. So as you can see, every food came back eventually. Almost everything I removed, I eventually ate again. But I reintroduced them one at a time in the most digestible form possible, and then I listened to my body's response. Some came back immediately, some came back a little later, and the ones that needed a little bit more time weren't necessarily bad foods. They just were foods that my gut wasn't ready yet. That's the difference between a restrictive diet and this protocol. A restrictive diet takes foods out permanently. This protocol takes foods out temporarily so that your body can tell you which ones work for you and in what quantities. Now, this is the part of the video that I care about the most because this is the part that nobody else seems to talk about, and it's the part that changed everything for me. I had tried elimination diets before. I tried cutting out dairy. I tried going gluten-free, and every time, yes, it did help a little, and the bloating would kind of reduce, and I'd feel slightly better, but the results never lasted. Within weeks of going back to normal eating, everything came back. I got bloated again, the skin issues came back, the exhaustion, which showed me that my gut refused to actually heal. And the reason was something I hadn't addressed at all, which was my nervous system. Your gut cannot heal in a state of chronic stress. I need you to hear that. It doesn't matter how clean your diet is. It doesn't matter how many supplements you take. If your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight, which if you're a busy, driven, ambitious woman who's been pushing for years, it probably is, your gut cannot repair itself. Here's why. When your body is in sympathetic mode, so the fight or flight state, your body is prioritizing survival. The blood flow is redirected to your muscles, your heart, and your lungs, and the systems that aren't essential for immediate survival get shut down. And the first system to go is your digestion. Your body doesn't care about digesting your food when you're running for your life. That means your stomach acid production drops, your enzyme output decreases, your gut motility slows, and the regeneration process that repairs your gut lining about every 3 to 5 days just completely stalls. So healing your gut isn't just about what you eat. It's about teaching your body to feel safe again. Safe enough to redirect resources back to repair. Safe enough to actually digest the food that you're eating, and safe enough to heal. This is what I did every single day during the protocol to support my nervous system. In the morning, no phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, and no phone for the last 30 minutes before bed. This alone was one of the most impactful changes I made, because the constant stimulation from screens keeps your nervous system in a state of low-grade vigilance. So removing it at the bookends of the day gives your system extended windows of calm. Then I would also go for long walks outside with our dog, but even 10 to 20 minutes would be enough. Not a workout, not a power walk, just a gentle, easy walk, ideally in nature or at least outside. Walking stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the main nerve that connects your brain to your gut and activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Natural light exposure also regulates your circadian rhythm, which affects cortisol production. And again, this is free, it takes 15 minutes, and it's one of the most powerful things you can do for your gut. Then for like a midday reset after some work, I would do some breath work, about 5 minutes of box breathing, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. This again activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch, and tells your body that you're safe. Another super important one is to eat distraction free. I used to always eat while watching some Netflix or YouTube video or even scroll on social media. And during this whole month, I made extra sure that I ate without any phone or screens around, no distractions, and typically sitting outside in the garden, in the sunshine, and just kind of take it all in, the sun, the birds, the different tastes of the foods, and so on. Then at night, I would do dry brushing before my shower for lymphatic support. So 2 to 3 minutes of gentle brushing towards the heart. This for one is a very nice wind down ritual for me, but dry brushing also supports drainage and reduces inflammation. Then I would lay on my yoga block for a few minutes to counteract all the sitting at the desk and hunching my back and shoulders throughout the day. This is one of my favorite exercises for posture. And after that, I put my legs up the wall for 5 minutes before bed. So just lay on your back with your legs straight up against the wall. This is one of the fastest ways to shift your nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. It reduces cortisol, lowers your heart rate, and signals your entire body that it's time to rest and repair. And lastly, for the entire month, I ignored any kind of workout schedule or plan entirely. In order for your body to heal, it needs to feel safe. And punishing it with hard workouts basically tells it the complete opposite. This might sound completely counterintuitive, especially for someone who manages stress with exercise. I get it. But I stopped all the intense exercise for the entire month and just listened to my body. That didn't mean I stopped working out altogether, but it just meant seeing what I felt like that specific day. So some days it looked like a gym session and I would still go back into the gym, but I focused more on some functional compound movements or just did Pilates, yoga, barre, however you pronounce it. And other than that, I prioritized any kind of exercise that genuinely brings me so much joy, like playing tennis, going for long walks and hikes with our dog, getting about 6,000 to 10,000 steps in a day, or just do some yard work, or just completely chill. Get enough sleep, you get the drill. So again, I want to emphasize this. Most of the times, the nervous system regulation is the missing piece. The food and the supplements provide the tools, yes, but the nervous system regulation gives your body permission to use them. So unless you teach your body how to shift out of survival mode, a gut cleanse like this will likely not be very successful. But once you combine those two things, your gut starts healing in a way it never has before. So what were the results? What did it feel like? While the cravings for dark chocolate absolutely remained because I just love dark chocolate, my cravings for any other sugary snack or thing completely stopped. I had no more afternoon energy crashes from pretty much day one. Instead, I had this insane energy, mental clarity, and focus from morning to night, something I probably hadn't experienced in over 10 years, ever since starting uni and just going into work mode. The bloating was gone, not just reduced, but it was actually gone. Even after eating big portions late at night, my whole body and face slimmed down, not because I lost muscle or fat, but simply because the water retention, inflammation, and puffiness had gone down. My skin completely changed. While I'd already healed my more severe acne over the years, which I'll link the video for you up here, it was still the absolute norm to have a few zits and breakouts throughout the month, especially leading up to my period. And that entire month, I didn't get a single new zit. Not a single one. My skin also just looked and felt so much smoother and less irritated, less oily, but still very much radiant. Like, I genuinely don't even know how to explain it because it sounds almost too good to be true or fake. But I'm not even kidding, I felt like a completely different person. I hadn't felt this confident in my skin or body in years. The bloating, the puffiness, the fatigue, the brain fog, the mood swings, the PMS, just gone like as if someone flipped the switch. And for the first time in ever, I knew what it felt like to live a truly symptom-free life. Like, I mean, truly no symptoms, not even the small things that we nowadays just consider as completely normal. Like, all these symptoms I had accepted as normal because they were just always there and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And the craziest part is that once I realized after the first few days and weeks how well my body's reacting to it, I decided, okay, I'm gonna be determined and pull through the entire 30 days and see what happens to my cycle, PMS, and period cramps. And so I got my period, funnily enough, unintended, but on the day after my gut cleanse, and it was my birthday. And I didn't have any cramps, nothing. Like, I was already preparing for the worst. I was like, fuck's sake, it's my birthday, I want to do something. We were traveling too, so I was like, I was so ready to go out for dinner tonight and, enjoy some meal out again after this gut cleanse. And now this period is just gonna ruin everything and I won't be able to go out and I'll just lay in bed cramping and taking painkillers and trying it with a hot water bottle, but nothing would work. That was my mindset. And for those who know me in real life, they know that I have had period cramps my entire period adult life, whatever. Ever since I got my first period, I had period cramps. And just, from debilitating to less intense and everything in between, but there was no pattern whatsoever. I couldn't identify any triggers. It was completely arbitrary. Sometimes I thought, oh, I figured it out, probiotics is what helped me. And then it would just come back and slap me in the face with even worse cramps. And there was no pattern to it. And you can just imagine how frustrating that is if you're just trying everything you can to figure out what makes them less intense. But at the same time, you can't figure it out, so you're just planning your entire life around those periods and know that for those first 24 to 48 hours, you're probably not going to be able to leave the house and you just have to lay in bed all day with a hot water bottle and painkillers. Not this time though. I was able to go out for my birthday dinner. I was able to go to the dog park, play with our dog, felt completely fine, was out shopping. I went to a massage. That's another thing. If you know, you know. And if you're on your period and you have your cramps, the last thing you want is A, get undressed and not curl up and have someone touch, let alone squeeze or massage, anywhere down there or your lower back. But I felt it completely fine and I was actually able to enjoy the massage. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I could go on for hours talking about the benefits of this gut cleanse, but hopefully by now you're just heck yeah, I'm gonna try this out for myself and see what happens, because I don't think people will understand until they do it themselves. And you probably won't believe me until you do it yourself, and you're gonna be blown away as much as I was. Something that I've always been super passionate about, especially as a holistic health coach, is that your body knows how to heal. And your gut lining regenerates every 3 to 5 days. Your microbiome can shift within weeks. You just have to stop giving it reasons not to for a certain amount of time, and your symptoms will disappear. And once my gut healed, I was even able to tolerate foods again that I wasn't previously. So foods that used to bloat me, I was able to eat again with no reaction. Because the issue oftentimes isn't the food, it's the damaged gut that just can't handle it in its current state. That's what's so mind-blowing for me. If your gut lining and those tight junctions are loose and damaged, any food that you'll eat, even the healthiest superfoods, will trigger an immune reaction and therefore inflammation. But doing a reset like this and allowing your gut to heal can genuinely change your symptoms long-term, even long after the gut cleanse and the protocol stops, without sustaining the gut cleanse diet for a long time. All it takes is those 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, you might as well, right? And aside from all the major physical changes and benefits that I felt, I also made a whole nother video on all the less obvious lessons and knowledge that I gained that I never want to go without anymore. So if you're not already convinced enough to do a 30-day gut cleanse, then watch this video next, because it will give you even more reasons and will be your ultimate motivation. And if you haven't already, then watch this video too, that goes into all the healthy foods that are keeping your gut inflamed and damaged. This one explains why each food that I removed is a problem, so that you can understand the science behind it. Together, these 3 videos are a complete system: what to remove, how to heal, and why it matters for your health. Subscribe for more. I'll see you over in these 2. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.